hand is finally better. I can kind of hold this again. Ha ha
Well, you got
ha.
your cast off.
I got it off like yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God! It's another show. Welcome back. Oh my God. This is Boulder County Tonight. I'm your host, Andy Epler. Today's episode, we're going to be interviewing someone and telling jokes very briefly in the beginning. That's what we do on every episode. If you're watching this when we show it late at Longmont Public Media on TV, then it's time to go to bed, Grandma. Grandma, left the TV on. Left the TV. It's time to go to bed. Nope. No, really, you shouldn't be watching this show, Grandma. Good night. And if you're in Grandma's demographic, I'm not telling you to go to bed, but definitely watch it during the daytime. Take your medicine. We've been taking some notes from the general public. Apparently, nobody is appreciating how I've been growing the aesthetic nature of my show here. Motherfuckers are like, looks like he just moved in and he's like a college student moving into a new apartment. That's sort of like how it feels, frankly. Motherfuckers are like, just like a couple of chairs and what is that, like a blanket or something? Yeah, that is sort of what it is. But I added something just for you. I added like a little miniature ficus. And when you see it, think this. Wonderful. A little note from the producers of the show. A little note about the production of the show here. We'll try and get this quickly. Sorry, a little business. You have to sleep every night because the simulation we live in doesn't have the processing power to run all the beings on the planet at once. I never get those, but I always have to take them. They're my boss. So I was fucking watching the news, and I try and source content for you, you know? And I know that when I watch the news and build my monologues off of that, it can kind of get a little dark. I know that's true. And I know it's been a while since I did my Jay Leno impression. We'll come back to it, I'm sure. I don't know if you know this, but the government is looking like it might shut down, of course. October 18th, apparently, the government runs out of money. You've heard about this before. This has happened like a million times. People my age even, like I'm 36, right? I've seen this exact thing play out a bunch of times. You know, the politicians can't agree on that they should do their jobs. And then they shut the government down and quit paying soldiers who are in the field and shit like that, because fuck you. So they're having that fight again. And apparently the government, can't work a budget, all right? And so on October 18th, all of our credit bills are due or whatever, okay? It's a problem. It's the same motherfuckers that were during the pandemic when you could barely pay your rent or whatever, they sent you a $1,200 check and go fuck yourself or whatever. Those people can't handle money. Luckily, they have a plan for solving their issue. They can start a new website called onlyfans.gov. That's how we're going to fix it. You know what they really do with the money, even when they are running? Now we're off the book. We're not doing the jokes right now. It's a little fucking news note from a non-journalist. You know what they were doing, of course, if they were fully funded and we weren't watching them? The Elon Musk, possible villain, who's I just like to play in outer space or whatever. Oh, isn't it fun? Aren't I adorable or whatever? Just signed a deal with the government to do 1 hour delivery of arms across the world through space. Isn't that amazing? Isn't he an amazing American hero? The guy that's helped fuck our planet and then he fucks off to Mars or whatever. That guy. Possible villain. Possible villain. Not saying he's a villain, not saying he's a Lex Luthor type or whatever. That's Bezos is obviously Lex Luthor type. But That's what's happening. And also, by the way, he's building a robot army. Just saying, he's building a robot fucking army. Elon Musk. Possible villain. I'll get off it. Possible villain. I'm not sure if you watch the news like I've been watching, but I've also been noticing things socially that have been happening. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but younger generations, millennials and Gen Zers, they've actually had kind of a tough go of it. Gen Z and millennials have had to deal with school shootings, terrorist attacks, police brutality, workforce abuse, skyrocketing rent, and trying to work within a system that basically milks them like factory farmed cows. But you know who's unimpressed with the plight of the Gen Zers and the millennials? Bill Maher. I have notes about Bill Maher. Do you guys watch Bill Maher? You do, right?
I love him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Love
Interesting
Bill
character. Sure. Here's something I've noticed about Bill Maher. Lately, Bill. And whatever. Seems like a great character. Important comedic voice in some points in his career. But this season, he's got these glasses. He's got these new glasses. And they look like they came from a Karen cosplay outfit. And whatever, we respect it, whatever, but Bill Maher's been making fun of millennials and Gen Zers who have chosen to live in vans and travel instead of working for slave wages at Amazon or whatever. Bill thinks you ought to go back and work at your shitty job instead of being in the van. He's calling these people lazy and, self-absorbed or whatever. I think I like that Bill's kind of put on this Karen vibe lately because it's very progressive, of course, that an old man can also identify as a total bitch. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Bill, putting it out here, okay? Bill, new rule, okay? If you're a millionaire and a part of the generation who fucked the planet and the workforce and the housing market and the economy so badly that younger generations think living in a van is one of their better outcomes, maybe shut the fuck up. Bill, maybe just maybe shut the fuck up, you do great comedy or whatever, but also just your boomers are showing, Your boomers are hanging out of your bathrobe, old man. You know what I'm talking about? Just a thought, Bill. Maybe shut the fuck up. All right, just a thought. Today on the episode, we'll be talking to someone running for city council. He goes by one name mostly, okay, in his advertising. It's Tallis. Very cool. It's like Bono or Cher. It's Tallis, okay? He's going to tell us more about himself now. Tallis, would you please join us? Just this applause. You're kidding.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh my God, they love you. Please join me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tallis, how do you feel? Tallis, thank you very much for joining us. How do you like sitting under the shade of my new tree here?
I love it. When I was doing the interview for the 20-minute interview with Dick over there in that corner instead of this corner.
Oh, yeah.
They had the two trees, and one of them was itching the back of my neck the whole time. So I like the fact that it's not going to obstruct me during this interview.
Well, and you'll find that there's a dick in this corner as well.
Hopefully I don't see it.
No, we're not allowed to on this show. It's one of the real big failings of this show, unfortunately. No nudity. No nudity, no drug use. Whatever. It's weird because the last show that I did was called The Hippie Report, okay? And I would sometimes do that from my bathtub, taking a bubble bath, smoking a joint, doing dabs and shit. They'll run that. But if I want to come get naked in this room during this show, they're like, put a mask on it or whatever. And I'm like, what are we... Anyway, sorry. We don't have to talk about my penis this whole time, but we will come back to it. Tallis, you come sort of from the business world.
Yes.
Will you tell us sort of about your history there?
I appreciate you asking me.
Thank you.
So I started my first company in 2004. Since then, I exited
You
that
started your
company.
first company in 2004?
Yeah, when I was 19, still an undergrad.
Where you were not selling drugs, certainly. What were you doing?
So I owned a recording studio and also a music distribution platform similar to SoundCloud, but we were too early. SoundCloud got established in 2008. We were trying to do something very similar in 2004. And what was really funny is that when I was talking to industry executives in the music industry, they would say things like, people will always want CDs because they want a physical asset to go along with their purchase. Oh, people love the inside album cover pamphlet thingy. For those of you who are young, we used to actually get like pieces of plastic within another piece of plastic that would then go into your car or whatever CD player you used.
And then the ocean. So that the ocean could listen to good tunes.
So yeah, essentially, industry execs didn't see the changing of the tides of the industry, and I was a little bit too early, so I ended up selling it to someone else, and got a modest exit. After that, I got an MBA. After that, I had an opportunity to teach business at CU Boulder. I taught the capstone to the business minor at the age of 30, which I thought was a pretty cool achievement.
That is pretty impressive.
Thanks.
Yes.
So I then wrote a book after I decided I didn't want to teach anymore called the Savvy Entrepreneur's Business Handbook. And if you go to savvyhandbook.com, you can download free resources I have that help entrepreneurs. I've always been interested in mentorship and giving back. That's why after COVID started, I decided to join Energize Colorado to be the face of the Digital Innovations Initiative to help businesses recover from COVID. So one of my big achievements through Energize was working with name.com. So I forget whether it's name.com/energize or Energize Colorado. But if you go to that, you can get a coupon code for 50% discount on your hosting, or if you want to get a new domain name. I think that's very important because there's so many businesses that are undercapitalized. They're not maximizing the revenue streams because they don't have a digital presence.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really important thing to help businesses.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you don't have a digital presence, you basically don't exist.
Essentially. So yeah, those are some of the achievements I've done in my business career.
So what motivates? All right. So like we've been talking to a lot of people, city council and mayor people, and one of the common threads that we've discovered is this job fucking sucks. It's tough to do. If you win, half the fucking public hates you because they disagree or voted for some other person or whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't usually get real credit from the stuff that you do because even your followers think you should have gone further or whatever. It pays like shit. Like
it pays?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could buy like a book of stamps a month.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't even expecting that.
And you get a 100 square foot apartment in Boulder County. Yeah, you could be living in a document house. What about this job are you looking at being like, that is what I want to do with my years?
So I've been very lucky with my business career. I've had the opportunity to be CEO of multiple companies. Most recently, I was the CEO of an aerospace company that was selected by NASA to be a NASA iTech company. We're producing radiation shielding for satellites and space vehicles.
Wow.
I was very lucky in that we did really well, and I have equity in that venture that I hope will be worth something in the future.
We all hope that for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, been put into a position where I have the luxury to run for office, and because of my experience, I feel like right now specifically is really important to have a business-minded person on the city council. There are a lot of businesses struggling, and I feel as though there's not an adequate representation for small and local businesses on the city council.
I agree with that. And one thing that I saw during this whole fucking crisis, and whatever, no community handled it perfectly. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the economic support really did seem to go toward businesses right on Main Street.
Yeah.
And other businesses that are maybe just a couple blocks away really didn't see as much help.
So I'm glad you asked that because that was brought up in the debate yesterday.
Was it?
And I was saying how we need other economic lobbying groups, just like Downtown Economic Development in other regions across the city. Ari from Sugar Beet,
Oh,
right?
of course. We love Ari.
Yeah, and I love Ari too. He's a big supporter.
And not a sponsor, but Sugar Beet's one of the best restaurants I've ever been in.
I amen to that. And
Not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. Also, he's a very handsome man. Fuck. What are you going to do?
and a fellow immigrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, he's Greek.
Yeah.
He'll happily tell you all about it.
But yeah, businesses like Sugar Beet, businesses like Gross and Bar, both are supporters of mine.
We know Gross and Bart very well as well. We love those dudes. Hey,
Yeah.
Taylor. Hey, Taylor, you're very handsome as well, okay? Even the beard, it's very nice. It's very well kept.
And so those types of businesses need the support that they're not getting.
Yeah.
And businesses, as you alluded to on Main Street, are getting plenty of support. So I think that there can be more than one economic zone within Longmont.
Yes.
Why not help other businesses thrive, reducing the cost to start a business? Because right now, if you're a restaurant, where are you going to want to go? Main Street, right?
Right.
And what's your barrier to that? The cost of opening up a restaurant in Main Street is absorbent. So
Yeah.
when you can have the opportunity to open up on Delaware, on Francis, and other places in our city, it allows more businesses to open up because the opportunity cost is lower.
Yeah. I think like all our local businesses have been totally traumatized, just like our individual citizens have been. One of my favorite taco spots, I can never catch them when they're open anymore. They're probably having a really tough time of it, you know?
Well, I'd like to point out another thing. So a lot of the economic stimulus that was given out was given to businesses with cash flow. What about the startups that were pre-revenue? Some businesses, like I was involved with a chemotherapy drug that would have taken 7 to 10 years to get to market. If people who are putting vast amount of money into startups aren't getting this economic support that other businesses that have cash flows are.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly incentivize them to do those startups or rush them maybe.
Well, especially the moonshot ones, the ones with the largest potential, often take the longest time to realize.
Yeah, well, that makes all the sense in the world. So that makes sense how your life has led up to having this certain skill set, and apparently you want to help the community through that skill set.
Yeah.
What's something...
I've got a certain set of skills.
He's got a certain set of skills. He said very, intimidatingly.
I don't have the same persona as Liam Neeson, but I was
No.
trying to channel that.
But do you do any impressions? Do you do a Liam Neeson impression, perhaps?
No, I mean, who doesn't
It's
do
all like way down here, right? I don't know. I've never tried, but yeah.
I mean,
I do
who
a Jay
doesn't do an
Leno.
Arnold impression, right?
Right? Do you do an Arnold
I
impression?
mean, not very well.
I mean, that's really what the theme of this show is. Have you heard my Jay Leno? It's fucking classic.
You don't have the chin for it.
I don't have the chin for it. No, or the giant asshole. What? Shots fired, Jay. From Boulder County to you. So, why city council instead of using your skill set to interact with local charities or something? Why city council? Why is that the right answer for your skill set?
That's a good question. I mean, I have worked with nonprofits like Energize Colorado,
Right.
And I've done, I think, a lot of good. Energize Colorado has given out millions of dollars to the GAP Fund.
Okay.
So, and I was involved in promoting the GAP Fund.
So you've been so effective in the private sector kind of world, helping people and moving energy around like that. I'm interested to see what you would do in city council, but
Why?
is it just I want to help my community,
Yeah.
I want to make it a better place to live? Those are the answers we always get,
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. Ever since I was in high school, I went through Junior Statesmen of America. I went to Yale while I was still in high school. I went to American University through National Student Leadership Conference. So, business and politics were the two things that I've always been interested in. And I've had decent success in business, and now I'd like to try my hand in politics. I mean, I think the best place to start in politics is at the grassroots level, and it doesn't get more grassroots than city council. And I really am passionate about this community. I moved into Boulder County in 2014, bought my first house in Longmont in 2017. Since then, I've really fallen in love with the community. I've brought my mom here recently after my dad passed. So
your mother lives in town now?
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
very happy about that. We were able to...
And what's your mother's first name?
Jada.
Hi, Jada. How you doing? He's great. He seems great.
But yeah, super supportive mom. I'm an only child, so if anything did happen to my mom, heaven forbid, I at least would be close to be able to take care of her.
Nice. Ah, he loves his mother. That's nice. That's nice in a politician, you know. At the national level, they're what we call motherfuckers, and that's different. Sorry, Jada. Oh my God, I'm now swearing in front of this nice lady. And when I tell Grandma to go to bed, Jada, I didn't mean you, honey. You're doing
She's
great.
not a grandma yet.
No, of course not. She's probably in her early 40s. What a delightful lady. Wait, no, you're in your mid-30s. You're the same age as me.
Same age. We both have May birthdays, I believe, right?
So your mother is appropriately aged to both have a 30-year-old son, but also be young and vivacious. You're gonna, if you win and you get on city council, you'll be joining city council in like a historic, like problematic time.
Yeah.
Okay, but we live in a great community. We, in general, work together and kind of like there's a good vibe of community here. But like no matter what you do, you're gonna be in like dire straits a lot of the time, trying to like plug all the holes in our big boat here. What about that like frightens you? What do you consider to be like the big scary thing about that? Because if there isn't something that scares you about that, that worries us, right? Because it's a serious thing.
So throughout my time in business, I've been a consensus builder. When you're a CEO of a company, especially when your team members are working for equity and not getting paid, you have to get a lot of buy-in. You have to be a leader. And I'm hoping that I can bring some of those leadership skills and team building skills onto the city council. However, I do realize that there is some animosity between the different council members currently.
Okay.
I think that as long as everyone has the best intentions for our city, I'm confident that we can find a common ground to work together.
Yeah.
Now, what scares me is that that doesn't occur.
Yeah.
When there is such a barrier to working together that people say, F it, I don't care what's best for this community. I have an ego, I have certain people who are supporting me that I have to abide by. A cabal.
A cabal. He coughed.
To quote Bagley. But yeah, I mean, that's my fear, is that there are very strong anti-growth pushers in our community, and if we aren't electing the right officials, then it will be insurmountable to get beyond this opposition. So I think it's important that I get elected, that Tim Waters get elected, and that we don't go down the no growth path. Because if we're talking about attainable housing, if we're talking about people being able to have opportunity in our community, we're not going to get it through zero growth, right?
I agree with that, of course.
So it's unfortunate that there's really just two options then. You have one coalition that's zero growth, and then there's everyone else. The people with the coalition, they have volunteers, they have resources, they have organization, and I've been able to build quite a bit throughout this campaign, but I don't have generations of campaigns that they've been able to be a part of.
All right, let's talk a little bit about growth, because I think that framing of these people want zero growth and these people want, pedal to the metal growth, that is unhelpful binary framing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
Here's my question.
It's hyperbole.
Of course. And this is the hyperbole show, okay? And we love that. And let's draw a little more clear line there, because I'm not anti-growth, right? But I also think some growths are cancerous. Some versions of growth aren't helping our community. They're only helping pad the 1%ers' bank accounts,
absolutely.
Basically.
Yeah.
So how can we, as a community, still have growth, but not feel like we're leaving people behind with unattainable housing and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean,
Yeah! Jada, what a nice young man. Sorry, please continue. I just love to be right.
So I mean, rare. You're right. If there is only one type of development that's going up in this, let's say, expensive buildings, large property, single family, that's not going to help the people that need the help.
Right.
At the same time, if you build a giant apartment complexes, that's also not helping the people because it's keeping people trapped in poverty because the only opportunity that they have to live is through renting expensive places, and that reduces their savings, and will never be able to buy a house.
Yeah.
So I think that there has to be a, not to be cliche, smart leadership when it comes to house, home stock building and finding a balance.
Balance, thoughtful growth.
Yeah, I mean, infill development's a great way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at all of the buildings that have underutilized space. Most of the buildings in downtown have second and third floors that have nothing going on in there.
Yeah.
And that can be converted into condos.
Yeah. And
There's
some of them are, and they're beautiful.
Absolutely. And then there's places like on Mountain View and Kimbark, there's a blue industrial building that has been vacant since I moved into the neighborhood 5 years ago. There's plenty of opportunity for us to do infill development and not change the footprint of our city and have smaller spaces that are attainable for people. And starter homes are important because then you can scale up once you have the savings.
Yeah, but like in Longmont, Colorado, $300,000 is your starter home or whatever.
We were lucky. We bought we started off with half a duplex, my wife and I. We bought it for $250 in 2017.
Okay.
And at the time, that was like the cheapest place we could absolutely find.
Yeah.
And that was basically at the top of our budget too.
Yeah.
I was illiquid. I didn't have a lot of cash. A lot of my values in equities of non-publicly traded companies, so it's kind of very illiquid.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, that's what we could afford. So we were able to save, and then now we bought a house 3 doors down. My mom bought that house from us, and
kept it in the family.
Well, I mean, how else would she have found an opportunity to buy?
I don't know, but I can tell you this: if she was in an apartment and couldn't afford the rent anymore and found herself to be, without home, I'm sure that would never happen, of course, under your watchful gaze. But if the people that does happen to, they're super fucked in our county.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of elderly people in our community, and it breaks my heart whenever I see someone who is elderly who is experiencing homelessness. I think that it's really important that we protect the most vulnerable in our community, and that's the elderly and kids. And I was on the Community Actions Programs Board with Ellie Berto, who is the city representative, kind of our liaison. And it was shocking to me to find out that there's 2,000 to 3,000, maybe 4,000 kids that are underhomed in our community. That means that they're sharing houses with family members or acquaintances, and they don't have their own space.
Yeah.
That is very troubling to me because it's hard to go through school and get the proper education when you're sharing a bedroom with 2 or 3 other people. Mm-hmm. It's really a tragedy. So, in my opinion, if you increase the stock of attainable housing, a lot of the people who are currently fighting for affordable housing will move into the attainable housing, reducing the stress on the affordable housing market, reducing costs because it's supply and demand, right? Giving more people who are at the lowest level of our society, socioeconomics, will have an opportunity to stay in that house for longer.
I appreciate that perspective. I agree that we should have more, because Jesus, what's the problem with homelessness? It's this lack of homes. Yeah. So it seems like I keep saying this and people keep going, oh, I roll, we should let the market take care of it. I think that we need a little bit of guidance, or our communities need to get taken advantage of by these larger, independent money people that want to buy a bunch of the homes and then rent those out themselves or whatever.
Well, a lot of private equity is going into that
right
now. They're buying large swaths of homes in different places throughout the United States. And
I think that's problematic.
Oh, absolutely. I think whenever private equity comes in and does something like that, it really prevents proper market forces to occur. I think that there's a big difference between a private equity company that owns 1 million doors versus a small landlord that owns 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
right?
Oh, absolutely. One of them's like an independent business person.
Yes,
Another
absolutely.
person's like buying an entire community out from under the
absolutely.
community.
You're right, an entire community.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's why the Metro Housing Coalition and the Longmont Boulder Realtors Association are both endorsing me.
Well, look at that. Boy, I really appreciate you coming on the show. What a kind gentleman.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, ballots are showing up in people's boxes next week, next few weeks.
Yeah, expect some advertisement for me coming out. I've been holding off because I don't want to bore or annoy people, but you will be getting text messages and social ads from me coming up shortly.
Ah, that's part of the thing.
Sorry.
Hey, man, that's part of we got to raise awareness or whatever. We can't all put a pin on or whatever, you know. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Andy. I need to commend you for doing this because not enough people are educated about the candidates because there's limited amount of forums for us to speak to. I chosen not to canvass right now because I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. So things like this are very important right now because of it's important people get educated about the issues.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. Mostly, I just like cursing on TV. You know. Thank you for watching. And Grandma, I swear to God, if you're still awake, I'm gonna call you in a minute. Jada, you're fine. Thank you very much.